everyone! So it's been a while since I last posted a video, and today I'm in the kitchen because this video is for the Play Korean Food Season 2 contest. So I think you guys already know what I'm going to do today from the title of this video and from all the ingredients in front of me, but I'll be making for you Korean army stew bude찌개 today. So why did I choose a Korean army stew? Because Korean army stew is actually one of the most beloved Korean food known worldwide. And as a Singaporean, I used to eat Korean army stew a lot, and it was one of my favorite food before I came to Korea and discovered all the other food. So apart from that, as you know, the weather is getting really cold nowadays, and having a good warm stew is going to really warm the body up. So that's what I have decided, and I think I've been talking a bit too much, so let's get started. So one of the most important ingredients of the Korean army stew is the luncheon meat. So for the luncheon meat, you need to get one with a higher salt content, and preferably Spam or Tulip will do because those two brands have a higher salt content. So today I'll be using Spam. And as for the sausages, you can use any type of sausages you want. I'm just using mini Vienna sausages. We have rice cake over here, I have cheese, and we have spring onions, garlic, and also kimchi. So for Korean army stew, you would want to use sour kimchi, but I'm just using a bag of kimchi 볶음, which is like fried kimchi, because I usually don't really eat kimchi at home, and if I buy too big a bag, I can't finish it. For the ingredients, we have red pepper paste here, bean paste here, gochugaru, which is red pepper flakes, pepper, and soy sauce. So the most important thing to note is that you need to prepare bean paste, because without bean paste, it doesn't have the extra deep flavor. So this one is a must. For the red pepper paste, you can actually omit it if you have a lot of red pepper powder on hand, but if you have both, it'll be better. Yep, so for this, I'm using doenjang, but if you can use kukanjang, which means soup soy sauce. Soy sauce meant for soup because that is actually more flavorful, but if not, this will do as well. So all the ingredients, the exact measurements are in the description box below, so don't worry about that. So I have 3 cups of water over here. So the thing I like best about the Korean army stew is that you can customize the stew to any way you like. So you can add quail eggs, tofu, even baked beans. But for me, I like to keep mine relatively simple. So with this, let's get started. So what I have here is my spring onions. So for spring onions, right, in Singapore, if you can't find the large ones, remember to not buy leeks, the big leeks, and instead just replace them with the smaller spring onion or chokpa. So for my spring onions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them lengthwise and into thirds. So you just cut them into thirds, and then you can place them into the pan. So remember to save some spring onion for garnish later on. So the next thing we're going to prepare is the onions. So for the onions, maybe you just need around a quarter of it, and just cut it lengthwise. And then same thing, you just want to put it into the pan. Next, I'll be preparing the sausages. So like I've mentioned, I brought Vienna sausage, so it's actually pretty small, but I'm going to cut some of them lengthwise and then put the rest of it as the whole sausages. So like this, you can get a few more meat, a few different texture and sizes in your Korean army stew. So all this I'll just cut lengthwise. Do you actually know why the Korean army stew is called the Korean army stew? No. Okay, so the Korean army stew is actually how it got its name was because the US Army base was based in Uijeongbushi, which is a bit outside of Seoul, during the Korean War during 1950 to 1953. So during then, because the US Army is over there, right, they had a lot of food that Koreans were not used to, like for example baked beans, hot dogs, and even luncheon meat that Koreans weren't familiar with. So what did Koreans decide to do? They decided to actually make this into their own dish. So Korean army stew, if you look at it, it's actually a fusion of Korean and like the Western food coming together in a very, very Korean way. So, okay, now that I'm done with the hot dogs, I'm going to put them into the pan as well. The next thing we're going to prepare is Spam, which is the most important one, like I've mentioned. So for Spam, what you're going to do is you're going to have to prepare them 3 different ways. So gonna get it out of the pan. Huh. So for the spam, what you're gonna do, you're first gonna cut it into thirds. Okay. So cut it into thirds. Put 2 thirds aside first. So for the first third, I'm gonna cut it lengthwise. Cut it lengthwise. Then for the next 1/3, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dice it up. So now we have diced luncheon meat and sliced luncheon meat. So what are we going to do with the last third? So the last 1/3, what we're going to do with it is, I have this bag over here. We're going to mash it up. Yeah. So this isn't a very conventional way you make buda찌개, right? So this actually is a tip from Won's Ham, which is a very famous chef in South Korea, and he swears by this method. He says that if you do this, the broth will be a lot more flavorful. So we smash it up, and we're gonna put them all into the pan. So we're done preparing the ingredients. It's very easy, right? So we're just gonna add the rice cake and the kimchi in, and as well as all the other seasonings. So now the last thing to add is just water. So I have 3 cups, 540 milliliters of water prepared. We can let it start boiling. Okay, so just now I gave it a little mix, and then the stew has actually came up to a boil. So when it first came up to a boil, you have to add ramyun if you want to add ramyun. So if you don't want to add ramyun now, you just let it boil for another 3 more minutes and then you can serve it already. But for me, buda찌개 is not buda찌개 without the ramyun. So I'm gonna add it in now. Okay. With the ramyun, right, you have to add in 1 more cup of water because it's gonna soak up some of the water, so you need to add the extra cup. So like this, I'm just gonna let it go to a boil and then wait for the noodle to soften. Now that the noodles are soft, we're just gonna add the cheese and the spring onion and we are done. Spring onion. Okay, so now that it's all done, let's give it a try. So it's really very delicious, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and this was my entry for Play Korean Food Season 2. You guys can try this recipe out yourself, and please let me know if the tips actually do help make your Korean army stew taste better. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you!